Hello, welcome to the Sideboard here at the Star City Game Players Championship, brought to you by Ultimate Guard and Carnox Chairs. I'm Nick Miller alongside Collins Mullen, one of 6 Lotus Box members here.
There's a lot of us.
And 4 of you are playing this modern deck, the Devoted Druid deck.
Yep.
There were rumblings and predictions of people thinking there might be a Devoted Druid deck at this tournament. Y'all ended up bringing it.
Yep.
How did you determine and decide to play this deck, and for 4 of you to play it?
Well, we love metagaming. So we first wanted to see like what everybody else expected us to bring, and then we also wanted to see what we expected everybody else to bring and try to find the strategy that fits us in the best and gives us the best shot against what our expected field is going to be. So we thought that everybody was going to put us on Urza, and we also expected there to be a lot of other Urza decks here. And the way to attack Urza and the way to attack this deck is very different. So we thought that this could be a potential good like juke option where we bring this Druid deck where you really want like removal spells and interaction. We expected our opponents to prepare for Urza. And the other thing about Druid is that we really like our Druid matchup, or our Urza matchup. We like, I think Druid is pretty favored against the traditional Urza decks. So that's kind of how we ended up playing the strategy.
All right, well, let's dive on in.
Yeah.
We're talking Devoted Devastation.
Yeah.
First card, well, first 4 we look at here is the Devoted Druid itself.
Yep.
Key combo piece in the deck.
Yeah. I mean, you're really looking to have a Devoted Druid in all of your opening hands. That's what we're mulliganing for. And Once Upon a Time, which is a card that we'll talk about later, is really good at finding your Devoted Druids as well, so that you can cast it on curve. And there's just a lot of ways in the deck to, kill them once you have the Devoted Druid out and untap with it. Right.
Mainly comboing with the Vizier of Remedies, but you get to see some of the extra pieces here in this deck because you got a lot of slots moving around.
We do, yeah.
2 Duskwatch, Recruiter, and Deputy Detention here.
Yeah. So Duskwatch is one of the ways that we can kill our opponents with infinite mana. So Devoted Druid and Vizier of Remedies is the combo, essentially, where it allows you to untap it as many times as you want because you can't put +1/+1 counters on it. Then you find, like, one of your ways of killing your opponents is a Duskwatch Recruiter, so you can activate its ability as many times as you want, go through your library until you hit a Walking Ballista, and then use that to kill them.
Fireball them out.
Yeah. Deputy Detention is just kind of one of the more like flex slots. We wanted a little bit of interaction. We have a couple of bullets because we're running 8 tutors in Finale of Devastation and Eldamri's Call. Being able to search for Deputy Detention in order to get one of the problematic permanents off the board is really helpful.
Right. All right, we'll continue on here as we got the other namesake card.
Yeah.
Finale of Devastation. This lets you tutor up whatever you want, as you mentioned.
Yes.
So you have one piece of the combo, you find the other one, or any bullet, as you just mentioned. Then we've got the Gilded Goose and Eternal Witness here to let you do a little rebuy action.
Yeah.
And set up your mana.
Yeah. Eternal Witness is just pretty solid in this deck. It can rebuy whatever piece you're missing, or sometimes your Walking Ballista ends up in the graveyard and you need it. So. And then, Gilded Goose. So we're running 4 Noble Hierarch as well. Goose was we just wanted a little extra mana dorks because we are playing a lot of 3-drops that we want to cast, which I'm sure we'll get to later.
Right. I know Dylan went with 1 goose, 1 bird. That was the literal only difference.
He believed in the birdie.
Yeah.
We believe in the goose. The goose is just, it's the goose. I mean,
All right, we'll get to the next page here.
Yeah.
Your other mana creature, as you said, Noble Hierarch, all-star here.
Yep.
What about Giver of Runes, though? This card just all-star.
It's phenomenal. Giver of Runes is very, very strong. The curve of Giver of Runes into Devoted Druid is really problematic for the decks that can interact. So if they have a removal spell and you cast your Giver first, it's kind of a lightning rod for the removal spell because they're not going to be able to use it on your more important pieces.
Captain, Ranger Captain of Eos here. Just an all-star tutor, and just, when you guys played the Mardu Shadow deck at the team event, I'm remembering.
Oh, yeah.
You use this a lot to just shut down your opponent and kill them the next turn.
Yeah.
Are you using that ability much here, or is it mainly tutoring?
Sometimes. It's just another strong option to find with your tutors. If you have infinite mana and you have a Ranger Captain, you can use that to actually kill them because you can find your Walking Ballista. So it kind of fits that role. And then also its ability, if you're playing against an interactive deck, You can use it to like turn off counter spells, or if you're playing against a proactive deck, you can use it to, hopefully stop whatever they're doing for a turn to give you a turn to, do your thing.
Right.
It's just flexible.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. There's the Walking Ballista, as you mentioned, the way you're often killing them.
Yep.
The Vizier, and then a Shalai here, little protection for your team.
Yes. Shalai is, it's just kind of like Giver of Runes is just an extra protection. And the ability of giving yourself hexproof is actually also pretty strong because, some decks really care about targeting you with certain things, and just being able to have access to that is nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Get to the next page here. Once Upon a Time, as you mentioned, this is the other all-star. And then we can't forget to mention Oko.
We got to talk about
showing
Oko.
up in any deck with blue and green.
Yeah. I mean, Oko, it's just on its own. It can win the game against a lot of decks. And, it turns off permanents that can be annoying. For your opponent, it just turns a lot of your stuff into beaters. It does everything. Like it's Oko. We know about Oko at this point.
It's crazy that such a hyper-centric combo deck also has room to just, well, we can play this normal Oko game too.
Yeah. Yeah. And Oko's kind of part of the reason why we're playing the extra Gilded Goose. Just having more draws that can turn into a turn 2 Oko is phenomenal.
All right. And then the call here, your extra tutors. Anything
calls
specific about this, or is it just more of what you need?
It's just more of what you need. It's just one of the extra tutors. It and Finale, I think, serve a similar role of either being able to find the druid if you need it, or being able to find whatever pieces you need after you've resolved and untapped the druid.
All right. We'll get into the mana base here, just a fetch shock mana base.
Yep.
I don't think there's too much going on here. You got your canopies.
Talking about the mana base a little bit, sometimes people play more like fast lands in this deck, but we did not expect any burn in the field, so we just kind of overloaded on fetches and shocks, just because we weren't worried about our life total, and we really just wanted our mana to be as consistent as possible.
All right, that was an accurate call.
Yeah.
So let's get into the sideboard here. Dismember, Disdainful Stroke, Collector Oof here. Removal spell, pretty obvious, but then Stroke and Oof, what are you wanting these for?
Yeah, so Dismember is actually our 5th sideboard removal spell. We really wanted to hedge against Shadow a little bit. Shadow was one of the decks that we did expect to be here, and it's also one of our worst matchups. So we wanted a 5th removal spell for that, so that's why the Dismember's here on top of the 4 Path to Exiles that we'll get to later. Collector Oof is just really good against these Urza decks. Engineered Explosives is one of the more annoying ways that they can interact with you, so being able to shut that off. And if you land an early Collector Oof, it can be really annoying for your opponent's mana development as well. It's just a good card against those decks.
Yep.
And then, Disdainful Stroke. We expected some number of big mana decks, and we wanted counter spells, and there was some debate on our team whether or not we wanted Disdainful Stroke. We also tried out Unified Will and the Suspend counterspell. Delay. Yeah, we tried out Delay as well. We ended up on Disdainful Stroke just because really the only matchups I wanted a counterspell for were the big mana decks. So Disdainful Stroke's just the cleanest one there. But we could have ended up on Delay and been better in some matchups and worse in some others.
Okay, we'll get to the next page here. We'll see the Path to Exiles, as you mentioned. Veil of Summer here. You're playing green. It's almost a given at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Veil's is great. We expected a lot of the Urza decks to be Sultai. So Veil not only hits their counterspells that they can have access to, but it also hits their interaction typically because they're playing, Abrupt Decays, Fatal Pushes, stuff like that.
And then Mirren Crusader.
Oh yeah. So this was our kind of like overload on preparing for the Shadow matchup mostly. We really wanted some bullets that were going to be very difficult for our Shadow opponents. I'm pretty sure all the Shadow decks right now are just cold to American Theater resolving. So yeah, we just, we have 3 in our sideboard and a lot of ways to find them post-board. Right. Yeah.
Well, that wraps it up for Devoted Devastation. How you feel with your deck?
I feel great.
Into the event.
I feel great about we like deck lists just got posted. We took a look at them. I really like our position for our team in pretty much all of the formats. So I'm very excited for this tournament.
All right. Well, your team is here. You got cool decks. We'll see how y'all do. For Collins Mullen, I'm Nick Miller. Stay tuned to Star City Game for all week long for the action here in Roanoke.